In the journey of life, death remains one of the greatest mysteries we face. Yet throughout human history, across countless cultures and spiritual traditions, there exists a common belief that those we've loved and lost continue to watch over us from beyond. I have spent decades studying these connections between our world and the spirit realm, and what I've discovered may bring you comfort in times of grief. The ancient Egyptians believed the soul continued its journey after death. Native American traditions speak of ancestor spirits who guide the living. And in modern times, researchers like Edgar have documented thousands of cases where the deceased seem to make contact with loved ones. These are not merely comforting myths. They represent a spiritual reality that transcends our physical understanding. When someone transitions from this physical plane, their energy doesn't simply vanish. Energy cannot be destroyed. It merely transforms. The bond of love creates an energetic connection that persists beyond the grave. This connection allows our departed loved ones to continue caring for us, guiding us, and sometimes even communicating with us in subtle yet profound ways. The first sign that a departed loved one may be watching over you is a sudden, inexplicable sensation of presence. Many people report feeling they're not alone in an empty room, a feeling so tangible it cannot be dismissed as mere imagination. This sensation often comes with a familiar energy, as if you can recognize who is there without seeing them. It's as if the atmosphere in the room shifts, becoming charged with the unmistakable essence of someone you've known and loved. These moments typically occur when you're in a calm, receptive state, perhaps early in the morning or late at night when the world grows quiet. You might be going about your daily routine when suddenly you feel them near. This isn't something that can be measured by scientific instruments, yet the experience is real and deeply personal. One woman from Boston told me how, 3 months after her mother's passing, she would regularly feel her presence while working in the garden they once tended together. It wasn't frightening, she explained. It felt like Mom was right there beside me, watching me plant the tulips she always loved. This sensation wasn't continuous, but would come in waves, especially during moments of significance or when she needed guidance the most. The second sign manifests as familiar scents appearing without any physical source. Our sense of smell is powerfully connected to memory and emotion. Perhaps you suddenly detect your grandfather's pipe tobacco in a room where no one smokes. Or maybe the distinctive perfume your sister wore wafts through the air at unexpected moments. These olfactory experiences often occur briefly, just long enough for you to recognize them, before fading away. A man in Arizona shared how he would occasionally smell his late wife's signature vanilla and jasmine perfume while sitting in his study. "There's no logical explanation," he said. "The windows are closed, there are no scented candles, and no one else has been in the house. It's her way of letting me know she's still with me." See, the third sign involves objects mysteriously moving or appearing. Small items associated with your loved one might disappear and reappear in unexpected places. Perhaps your mother's favorite brooch, safely stored in a jewelry box, somehow ends up on your nightstand. Or the bookmark your father always used suddenly shows up between the pages of a book you're currently reading. These occurrences aren't random. They're often meaningful objects connected to special memories you shared with the deceased. When these items appear at pivotal moments in your life, they may be interpreted as messages of support or guidance from the other side. The spiritual realm communicates through symbols and synchronicities rather than direct speech. By paying attention to these subtle signs, we open ourselves to the continued presence of those who have crossed over, but remain connected to us through the eternal bond of love. The journey continues as we explore more profound ways our departed loved ones reach across the veil to connect with us. These signs often appear during significant life moments when we need guidance the most, perhaps when facing a difficult decision or experiencing deep emotional turmoil. It is then that the thinning of the veil becomes most apparent. The fourth sign manifests through distinctive sounds that have personal significance. These auditory experiences range from subtle to unmistakable, perhaps the unique way your father cleared his throat, your sister's distinctive laugh, or even hearing your name called in a familiar voice when no one else is present. One spiritual truth I've observed is that sound exists on multiple frequencies, some beyond our normal perception. In moments of spiritual receptivity, these frequencies become accessible to us. A teacher from Seattle described how, 6 months after her husband's passing, she would occasionally hear the specific melody he used to whistle when arriving home from work. "It always happens when I'm feeling overwhelmed or sad," she explained. "The whistle comes from nowhere, just a few notes, but it's undeniably his. It brings immediate comfort, like he's reminding me I'm not alone." These auditory connections often occur during the transition between wakefulness and sleep, the liminal space where our conscious mind relaxes its grip on physical reality. This is when the spiritual realm can more easily penetrate our awareness. The fifth sign involves electrical phenomena. Our departed loved ones often manipulate energy fields to make their presence known. Lights may flicker, a television might turn onto a meaningful channel, or a special song could suddenly play on the radio at precisely the right moment. While skeptics dismiss these as coincidence or electrical malfunction, those who've experienced them recognize the profound timing and personal significance these events carry. A businessman from Chicago shared how his late mother seems to communicate through his car radio. "On the anniversary of her passing, I was driving to her favorite park when the radio suddenly changed stations by itself, playing her favorite Elvis song. The signal was crystal clear, despite being in an area with typically poor reception. It wasn't just what happened, but when it happened, that convinced me it was her." The energy of consciousness can interact with electromagnetic fields in ways science is only beginning to understand. Our loved ones in spirit form can temporarily manipulate these fields to create signs that are meaningful to us. This requires less energy than full physical manifestation, making it a common method of communication from the other side. The sixth sign comes through vivid, realistic dreams that differ significantly from ordinary dreams. These visitation dreams have several distinctive qualities. They feel extraordinarily real, the deceased appears healthy and at peace, and the interaction leaves you with a sense of comfort rather than distress. Often, these dreams contain messages of reassurance or guidance that prove relevant to your waking life. In regular dreams, everything feels jumbled and confusing, explained a grief counselor from Portland who experienced this phenomenon after losing her brother. "But when my brother visits in dreams, everything is crystal clear. He looks radiant, the conversation flows naturally, and I wake up feeling like I've truly spent time with him. These aren't products of my subconscious mind, they're genuine encounters." During deep sleep, our conscious mind's barriers lower, allowing our souls to connect more directly with spiritual energies. This creates a meeting place where loved ones can visit us without the limitations of physical reality. The vividness and emotional impact of these dreams distinguish them from regular dream experiences. These signs aren't mere coincidences or psychological projections. They represent real attempts at communication from those who continue to love and watch over us from beyond. The spiritual teachings found in ancient texts across cultures have long recognized this continued connection between the living and those who have passed on. In the wisdom traditions I've studied, consciousness is understood not as a product of the brain, but as fundamental to the universe itself. Death marks not an end to consciousness, but a transition to a different state of being. From this perspective, the signs we receive make perfect sense. They are expressions of an ongoing relationship that transcends physical boundaries. As we open ourselves to these possibilities, we create space for healing and continued connection with those we've lost. The love that binds souls together doesn't end with physical death. It evolves into something more profound and enduring. As we deepen our understanding of how spirits communicate, we discover that the world around us becomes a canvas for messages from beyond. The signs we've discussed thus far represent only the beginning of this sacred language, a language that speaks directly to the heart and soul, rather than the logical mind. The seventh sign manifests through the behavior of animals, whose heightened sensitivity to energies beyond our perception makes them natural intermediaries between worlds. Perhaps you've noticed your dog staring intently at an empty corner of the room, wagging its tail as if greeting someone you cannot see. Or maybe your cat purrs and rubs against invisible legs in the exact spot where your departed loved one used to sit. Animals exist in a more present and instinctual state than humans, unburdened by the conceptual thinking that often blocks our spiritual perception. Their responses to spirit presences tend to be natural and uncomplicated. a simple acknowledgement of energies we've been conditioned to ignore. A family in Vermont described how their German Shepherd would regularly sit beside their late grandmother's favorite rocking chair, which would occasionally move slightly on its own. The dog would place his head on the seat of the empty chair exactly where Grandma would have petted him, the granddaughter explained. His tail would wag gently, and he'd look up with the same affection he showed when she was physically present. We couldn't see her, but it was clear he could. This connection between animals and spirits has been recognized by indigenous cultures worldwide. Many Native American traditions view animals as messengers between realms, capable of perceiving what human senses cannot. By observing the unusual behavior of animals in our homes, we gain insight into the invisible presences that surround us. The eighth sign arrives as sudden, unexplainable sensations of warmth, peace, or comforting energy. In moments of distress or significant decision-making, you might feel a gentle touch on your shoulder or a warm embrace when no one is physically present. Some describe it as a localized sensation of warmth spreading through their body, or a tingling energy that brings immediate emotional comfort. A hospice nurse from New Mexico shared her experience after losing her husband. During my first holiday season alone, the grief felt unbearable. As I sat crying by our Christmas tree, I suddenly felt a warm sensation envelop me, like being wrapped in a blanket of pure love. The despair lifted instantly, replaced by a profound peace. I knew without doubt that it was him, comforting me in my darkest moment. These energetic embraces often come precisely when needed most, during moments of profound grief, fear, or uncertainty. They represent direct transfers of loving energy from the spirit realm to our physical world, bypassing the need for words or visual confirmation. This phenomenon aligns with what quantum physics reveals about the nature of reality, that everything, at its most fundamental level, consists of energy and information. The consciousness that animated your loved one's physical form continues to exist as organized energy, capable of interacting with our own energetic field in moments of heightened receptivity. The ninth sign appears through numerical synchronicities, repeated appearances of numbers that held significance in your relationship with the deceased. Perhaps you consistently see your mother's birth date on license plates, receipts, or digital clocks. Or maybe the time of your partner's passing appears repeatedly throughout your day. Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, identified synchronicities as meaningful coincidences that reveal the underlying connection between consciousness and the external world. When these numerical patterns emerge consistently in relation to a departed loved one, they represent intentional communication rather than random chance. A professor from Boston documented how, after his wife's passing on October 23rd, he began encountering the numbers 1023 everywhere, on hotel room doors, in document reference numbers, as the time on his clock, and even as the amount on restaurant bills. The mathematical probability of encountering these specific digits so frequently defies explanation, he noted. Each occurrence feels like a gentle reminder of her continued presence in my life. These numerical signs often appear at crossroads moments when guidance is needed, serving as confirmation that you're being watched over and supported from the other side. They create a bridge between worlds, a tangible reminder that the connection persists despite physical separation. Ancient spiritual traditions worldwide have recognized numbers as carriers of vibrational energy and meaning. In the Kabbalah tradition, numbers represent divine qualities. Pythagorean philosophy viewed numbers as the building blocks of reality itself. When specific numbers connected to your loved one repeatedly enter your awareness, they create a channel for energy and information to flow between realms. The language of spirit communication is subtle yet profound, speaking through symbols, sensations, and synchronicities rather than ordinary words. By developing our awareness of these signs, we cultivate a deeper connection with those who have crossed the threshold between worlds but continue to accompany us on our journey. As we learn to recognize and interpret these messages from beyond, we discover that the relationship with our departed loved ones doesn't end. It transforms into something more expansive, unrestricted by physical limitations or the constraints of time and space. As we conclude our exploration of these 9 sacred signs, it becomes clear that death represents not an ending, but a transition, a doorway through which consciousness continues its eternal journey. The wisdom traditions across cultures have always maintained that love transcends physical boundaries, creating bridges between realms that allow continued communication and connection. Understanding these signs requires us to expand our awareness beyond the limited perspective of material existence. We must cultivate what the mystics call the spiritual senses, those faculties of perception that respond to subtler vibrations than our physical senses can detect. This inner awakening allows us to recognize and interpret the language of spirit that surrounds us daily. Many ask me, how can I be certain these experiences are real communications and not just wishful thinking or coincidence? This question reflects our culture's skepticism towards spiritual phenomena. While healthy discernment is valuable, we must also recognize that the analytical mind alone cannot fully comprehend spiritual reality. True discernment comes from integrating heart wisdom with intellectual understanding. The authenticity of these experiences can be recognized through several qualities. They come unexpectedly rather than being forced through desperate longing. They carry emotional resonance and personal significance that random events lack. They often provide information or guidance you couldn't have known otherwise. And they leave you with a profound sense of peace rather than confusion or fear. A retired physician from Colorado described his journey from skepticism to acceptance. As a man of science, I dismissed my wife's appearances in dreams as products of grief until she communicated details about our grandson's medical condition that I couldn't possibly have known. Information later confirmed by tests. This transcended coincidence or psychological explanation. It transformed my understanding of consciousness and its continuation beyond physical death. These communications often have a distinct purpose: to provide comfort, to offer guidance at critical junctures, or to assure us that the bonds of love remain unbroken despite physical separation. They typically increase during periods of significant life transition or emotional need, suggesting an awareness of our circumstances from beyond the veil. When interpreted with an open heart, these signs become sacred conversations that heal grief and provide direction. They remind us that we are never truly alone, that we exist within a vast network of loving consciousness that transcends the boundaries between life and death. Some spiritual seekers become so focused on receiving signs that they miss the deeper invitation these communications offer, an invitation to evolve our own consciousness. Our departed loved ones, now liberated from physical limitations, encourage us to expand our awareness while still embodied. Their communications serve not only as comfort, but as gentle nudges toward our own spiritual awakening. The greatest gift we can offer in response to these signs is to live more consciously, to embody the love, wisdom, and compassion that our loved ones now understand more fully from their expanded perspective. In this way, we honor their continued presence in our lives and prepare ourselves for the greater reality we will all eventually experience. For those who haven't yet recognized these signs in their own lives, remember that grief can temporarily block our spiritual receptivity. The analytical mind seeking proof can inadvertently create barriers to perception. Begin by simply opening to possibility. Acknowledge that there may be more to reality than what can be measured by physical instruments. This opening, this willingness to perceive beyond conventional boundaries, creates space for connection. Practices that quiet the analytical mind, meditation, time in nature, creative expression, or simply sitting in silence, can enhance your receptivity to subtle communications. Keep a journal of unusual experiences or meaningful coincidences. Over time, patterns may emerge that reveal the unique language through which your loved ones communicate. Remember, too, that our departed loved ones respect our free will and life journey. They don't typically interfere dramatically or create spectacular phenomena that would overwhelm our sense of independence. Their communications come as gentle touches of grace, whispers rather than shouts, nudges rather than pushes, subtle signs rather than dramatic manifestations. As one who has devoted decades to understanding the bridge between worlds, I can assure you that consciousness continues its journey beyond physical death. The 9 signs we've explored represent the most common ways our loved ones reach across this threshold to maintain connection. By recognizing these signs, we participate in a sacred dialogue that transcends the illusion of separation, In the words often attributed to ancient wisdom, death is not extinguishing the light. It is putting out the lamp because dawn has come. For those who have passed, a greater dawn has arrived, a more expansive reality from which they now watch over us with perfect love and compassion. Take comfort in knowing that the connection remains unbroken. The conversations continue in new forms. The love that bound you together in life persists beyond the threshold of death, creating an eternal bridge between worlds. In recognizing and honoring these 9 signs, you acknowledge this profound truth. Those we love never truly leave us. They simply wait in a place just beyond our current perception, continuing to participate in our lives through the subtle language of spirit. Trust what your heart knows to be true. The signs are there for those with eyes to see and hearts open to receive. The conversation between souls continues, transcending the illusion of separation and affirming the eternal nature of love. If these signs have resonated with your experiences or brought you comfort, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel for more spiritual wisdom and guidance. Your journey of understanding doesn't end here. Share your own experiences in the comments below. Have you noticed any of these 9 signs from your departed loved ones? Each story shared strengthens our community and reminds others they're not alone in their experiences. Hit the subscribe button now and join our spiritual family as we continue exploring the mysteries that connect us all. Remember, acknowledging these signs is the first step toward healing and maintaining that eternal bond with those watching over you.